Neopian lore, what we got in store. Talking about the things that we love and adore. We're all over 20, right? We stay indoors and play this game. And love this game. Sometimes hate this game. But let's all talk about Neopian lore. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome to episode 31 of Neopian Lore on the villain Vira. As she is finally getting her limelight with the upcoming plot Into the Void, let's go back to the beginning and piece together her backstory. I'll try to be as accurate as possible and attempt to pronounce all names correctly, but keep in mind, this world is fictional and this is all just for fun. I'm your host, Krista Poyman. Now let's cozy up to some nostalgia. Vira was a pretty and vain Akara, spending her days playing in the flowers, making daisy chains to braid into her long hair. One day, she wished to be the most beautiful Akara in the whole of the world, but the wrong ears heard her wish. "You are pretty," the shadowy voice said. "Only I can make you beautiful." Ever since, Vira has wandered those same fields, kissing the flowers, but making them poisonous to the touch. The magic mirrors she gives away do not show reality, but a twisted, ugly version of it. Anyone who looks into her mirrors, at first, finds themselves very beautiful, but that beauty fades into ugliness, and the mirror whispers with a dark voice, "There's only one way to get your beauty back." Vira is a bizarre-looking Akara. Her fur is a greenish tan, she has bat-like wings, a pointed tail, red eyes, red claws, and twisted black horns. Her attire is a black dress, ripped at the hem, with combat boots and witchy striped socks. She has a strangely beautiful look, though she herself wouldn't agree with that. We don't know what she looked like prior to her transformation besides having long hair. None of the current Akara colors even come close to her coloration, and TNT said this in the editorial. Vira isn't a mutant Akara, nor are we sure what color she once was. She was cursed, likely by a dark fairy, hence the wings, giving her a unique look that no other Akara has or would want. Which is totally not true, as her alternative look is awesome, and there are wearable items of hers from a mystery capsule, Vira's fashion line. No other Akara would want. Psh! Alt fashion is all the rage, TNT. Get with the times. Weirdly, there's not a wearable item of her dress yet. What's up with that? I know it's just a black dress, but still. So who transformed her? If we're going off the statement, likely a dark fairy, hence the wings, there are a few contenders. The most obvious would be Vanity, one of the dark fairy sisters, which consists of malice, spite, and vanity. Vanity's wings are shaped exactly like Vira's, and her whole shtick is transforming Neopets to look ugly. Quote, "Let's see them try to win the beauty contest now." But alas, the most obvious is apparently not the case, as someone asked the editorial if she was in fact the one who cursed Vira. The response given was, "There are even darker things in Neopia than those pesky dark fairy sisters." So it seems Vanity's magic isn't as strong as the one who cursed Vira. Perhaps hers is just temporary or easily broken. Another dark fairy with strong magic would be the Darkest Fairy, though transformations aren't really her thing, as her sole focus was revenge on Queen Fiora. Seems like it would be a waste of her time. There's also Genamara, the fairy which stole Balia's wings to turn her into the Grey Fairy. While that's a transformation of sorts, it's not the same as Vira's. Then there's Drakara, but I'll get back to her. One of Vira's pastimes is giving mirrors to Neopians which show a distorted version of reality. Vira even has a chamber of mirrors, quote, "No matter where you go, Vira's frightening stare will follow." It seems she also has a fixation herself of staring at mirrors, torturing herself by dwelling upon what was lost. It's unclear if mirrors show her current, what she considers ugly form, or her past self. Either way, it would drive one mad. This is a tried and true trope, the most notorious being the evil queen from Snow White. "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" But mirrors show up in other classic stories such as Alice Through the Looking Glass, Beauty and the Beast, and Medusa. Depending on the heart of the viewer determines their fate when following what is reflected back. On the Neopets website, if you have a mirror in your inventory and visit Vira's Gallery of Evil page, you will get an avatar. Be careful though, the mirror may show you things you don't wish to see. The first Neopet TCG set, released in 2003, was the only one not centered around a plot or a theme, so it covered Neopia as a whole. There were many characters and ideas introduced that wouldn't be fleshed out until later, for instance, Siana of Talador, which as we know now was actually the land of Altador. There are definitely discrepancies in this set from the current lore, as this was over 20 years ago and Neopets was still finding its footing, but it does give us something to go on. Vira was a part of this set, with the flavor text, "One of the cruelest creatures in all of Neopia, her only goal is to destroy anything as beautiful as she is." What's strange about this card is her pose. It looks as if she's just been pushed over by surprise. Something blue and spiderweb-like looms in the background. Dark fairy magic? Bookmark that. Also, it says, her only goal is to destroy anything as beautiful as she is, which is slightly confusing. Was this referring to her prior to the transformation, or after all of this time does she in fact find herself beautiful now? Though we've got a Terry and a Neg situation here. Was she cruel before her transformation, or because of her fixation on how hideous she finds herself, she became this nasty character? Okay, sure, being vain is not a great attribute, but there is a very clear line between being obsessed with yourself and catty towards your peers, and trying to purposely harm others by making them ugly or perceive themselves as so. It's also not clear how Vira goes about actually transforming others, unless you count the poor flowers she can transform to be poisonous, or if she's ever been successful in this venture. The mirrors, as far as we know, are just an illusion. The closest I could find was an image of herself alongside the villains Hubert Knox and Morgus placing a terrified Feepit into a cauldron with a bubbling mixture. First, oh my gosh, can Feepits not catch a break? And second, we don't know the aftermath. That said, Morgus does know how to transform, as she did so to her daughter during the Battle for Meridel plot, and Hubert Knox is a known shapeshifter. This could have been an attempt to transform Vira back into her old self. Now, the most obvious way to change a Neopet is through painting or zapping. I'm surprised Vira's never tried to team up with Dr. Sloth, because transforming Neopets into mutants would be right up her alley. But that's where her current collaborator comes in. The build-up to the 2024 plot, The Void Within, has been a doozy. We've got nuggets of information during the Festival of Nags with the new Void Pet Python, trick-or-treating with villain diaries, and even the advent calendar with new comic panels. After many, many years of Vira hiding in the shadows, she finally has her spotlight. The 2023 Fairy Festival had Illison pinned against Jadora for a recycling event, which went astray due to corrupt corporations, 'cause that could never happen in real life, only in a fantasy world, right? The villain supposedly behind it all was Malchus Vile, but he's quickly captured and Neopia is on its way to restoring itself again. Yay! But wait, what's this? A comic was released at the conclusion of the event showing things aren't exactly as they seem. Here is a dramatic reading. A purple nail touches the surface of the liquid inside a cauldron, the events of the fairy festival projected upon it. Well, it was fun while it lasted, don't you think, Vira?
More fun than poison flowers and cursed mirrors, I suppose, even if that oaf failed to weaken the fairies.
Quite the contrary. Vile was nothing more than a harbinger heralding my return. The cauldron's image shifts to Queen Fiora. Now she has an inkling of what is to come. Suspicions that will fester and boil over into anxieties, cursing her with sleepless nights.
And giving her time to warn others and fortify their defenses.
The comic panel shows a dark fairy, shrouded in shadows. She will prepare mentally, but won't dare tell another soul, convincing herself that she shouldn't worry others until she is absolutely certain. All the while, letting a sense of gnawing dread take root in the recesses of her mind. Come, the seed we planted long ago has finally sprouted and ready to bear fruit. There is much to do. The image pans over to a new paintbrush, one consumed in void. It makes complete sense for Vira to team up with someone who can transform other Neopets. Yes, all paintbrushes transform, but this one is different. It fundamentally changes the one painted. There's a storm brewing in Neopia, and we're not ready for it. Internet detectives deduce the fairy from the comic as Drakara, whose only other appearance was from a premium collectible card. Beyond that, we know nothing about her and no clue what she is capable of. Only an image and a name, not even flavor text. You remember that bookmark? Go ahead and take it out, because if you look in the background of Drakara's image, there is a blue spiderweb-like pattern, similar to Vira's card. It is a lighter blue, but it still makes me wonder if Drakara was the dark fairy who cursed Vira. It would be pretty twisted to enlist Vira's help if that's the case. I'm not sure if it would be worse if Vira knew or if she didn't. Not soon after this comic was released was the trick-or-treating event hosted by Reginald, a scholarly loop who was a main character from the Tale of Woe plot. He provided 7 never-before-seen stories surrounding some of Neopia's scariest villains. Among them was Vira. So Reginald has had all of these tomes about famous villains which could be instrumental in preventing another war, because, at least in the early days, Neopets had a war almost every year. The Lost Desert, the Curse of Maraqua, Dr. Sloth just causing shenanigans all the time. Peace is honestly rare in Neopia, yet he has not shared these with anyone beforehand. Either he's complacent or in on it, 'cause sheesh! Anywho, this was Vira's book. Almost all of this book has turned gray. Bits and pieces of it seem to have the book's original color, but even as you hold it, the gray is ever so slowly creeping away at it, making it difficult to read most of the words printed on it. You want a scary story? I'll give you one. There was once a beautiful Akara. She was graceful, charming, and of course humble. When others looked upon her, they would shower her with admiration. You are more beautiful than any flower I've ever seen. You shine brighter than any star in the sky. I would do anything for you. This Akara had it all, beauty, admiration, so she had happiness as well. She wanted for naught. Yet one day, a wish of hers was misunderstood, and it all came crumbling down. A vile curse was laid upon her, and she became ugly, so ugly that her humble heart turned bitter. There was no way for her to get her beauty back or her happiness back, so she turned to violence. But the darkness that had turned her soon returned and made her a promise. She would be beautiful again, more beautiful than ever before if she listened. And so she did. And do you want to know what she learned? That the darkness can be too powerful, so there is no point in fighting it. She and the darkness made a deal that day, a deal that will soon come to fruition, so hear my words now. If you wish to survive the coming terror, then do not impede on the darkness creeping in. I am sure you will start to feel it. Some may already know its tight grip. There is so much more at play than what you think is about to happen. Let the dark take you in, or else you may regret it. You wanted a scary story, and oh, are you about to get one. Ooh, not only does it foreshadow the plot, but also gives us insight from her perspective. Quote, there was no way for her to get her beauty back or her happiness back, so she turned to violence. She felt she had no other option, and it seems magic was also at play, toying at her insecurities like the Three and Lord Cass. A self-fulfilling prophecy. And whoever is the darkness, whether that's Drakara or someone else, is using her in exchange for her beauty. The big question is, will Vira go through with it or have a change of heart? And will the darkness hold up their end of the deal? I would absolutely love more backstory for Vira, and I'm not the only one, for someone asked the editorial, "Can you do a Neopedia article on Vira, the Akara of Darkness? I really want to know why she is evil, or if she has done anything besides being a Battledome challenger." StarFox_SilverStar, you are a champion! Now let's see what TNT will respond. Hey, sure, we will try to get one written this week. Oh, this is great! I'm gonna make some Earl Grey tea, get cozy, and head over to the Neopedia database to read what I'm sure will be a thrilling article. Sorry, your search returned no articles. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm just a little early. Let's see when that editorial was released. Issue 80, published March 2nd, 2003. Well, that's just heartbreaking. Vira does have a random event, quote, "Vira suddenly appears before you. There is no way you could best me in the Battledome," she sneers. This unlocks her as a Battledome challenger, difficulty levels of 80, 120, and 240. Her iconic weapons are Vira's spiked collar. Much more fun than just a simple fashion accessory, this collar is Vira's favorite weapon. And Vira's winged dagger, a beautiful blade that Vira made herself. It was forged from iron, but the poison that drips from its blade is pure hatred. I wonder if the poison is from the flowers she transforms. Weirdly, no mirror weapons? I would think the Battledome would be the perfect venue to use mirrors on unsuspecting Neopets weakened from the battle. Who knows? Perhaps during the Void Within, Vira will finally get her beauty back, or maybe she'll accept who she is and turn on the darkness. Only time will tell. Well, that's all for this episode of Neopian Lore. All characters and licensing belong to Neopets.com. Music was created by me, Krista. I hope you have a beautiful day in Neopia.